Hello and welcome to this edition of the Sales Genius Network webinar series. My name is Doug Davidoff. I'm the founder and CEO at Imagine Business Development, and I will be leading this webinar for you today. First, let me say that I appreciate the time and attention that you're taking to watch this webinar. I'm confident that you're going to find it valuable. We've been doing a lot of work over the last 5 years in terms of really unlocking the promise of technology in demand generation, sales, and marketing. And this webinar really represents the consolidation of all of the things that we've been working on. So if you're finding technology, your CRM, your marketing automation, or any other aspect of your demand generation stack, both important and challenging, and candidly, I don't know anybody that's serious about growth that doesn't say yes to both of those, I'm confident that you're going to find this program on point, interesting, and insightful. As we go through the program, we will have some time for questions at the end. And of course, for those of you that are listening or watching this webinar on demand, please feel free to reach out via email or any form if you have any questions or if there's any other way that we can help. So I don't know about you guys, but I am a bit of a movie buff, or at least I remember a lot of movies and apply them to sales and marketing. And I can't help but think when I see how people are utilizing and thinking about technology in their overall sales, marketing, and demand generation functions, I can't help but think that we're all living the life of Talladega Nights, the legend of Ricky Bobby. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. I want to go fast. Now, the thing that's interesting is, and I see this happening throughout all phases of sales and marketing today, is we are obsessed with speed. And I think that too often we confuse speed with velocity. We're so focused on going fast. We're so focused on accelerating speed that we're working harder and harder, but we're working much harder than the progress that we're making. But when you think about the use of technology, when you think about the positives and the negatives of your overall tech stack, the fundamental purpose of that tech stack is to accelerate velocity. And frankly, it should accelerate velocity while we humans can reduce our speed a little bit better. The reverse is happening. As we're implementing more and more technology, we're spending more and more time around administrative functions. And in many cases, we're put into this place where we're feeding the beast of technology to try to justify the investments that we're making. So as I start off the program, I really just want to create an important piece of context around the idea that our focus should be on velocity, the progress that we make in a period of time, not on speed. How fast are we going in that same period of time? When we think about technology and its role in customer acquisition, it's really important to remember that technology serves our customer acquisition and success efforts. We should not be serving our technology. And so to share a model that we have found very effective, it's a model we call the customer acquisition platform. This is the focus of any effective customer acquisition process. This is the focus of any effective customer acquisition process, right? Who's our market? What are we doing to generate leads, penetrate, generate awareness? How are we managing those leads? Are we converting them to sales opportunities? How are we solving the sales process? How are we doing there? And are we building in feedback systems so that we're optimizing for the whole, not just for its individual points? Now, there are a myriad of ways that this customer acquisition process ultimately gets implemented from an effective perspective for anybody. And that's why it's crucial that you be clear on what's the game that you're playing. What is the base foundation of your approach? What's your economic model, your business model? Where are you in the business life cycle? What is the game that you're playing? You see, we all play different games. And too often we're playing someone else's game, or when we are playing our game, we're playing our game by someone else's rules. You see, we're going to win when we play our game by our rules. So how do we establish the rules for our game? That's where strategy and playbooks come in. That's the modus operandi that embodies the game that we're playing. And that strategy and playbook is what should be driving our decisions about the tech stack. It should be driving our decisions about what technology we're using and what technology we're not using. Now, if you're not clear on what is your strategy, what is your playbook, what is your MO, and you're not clear on what are your underlying processes, then there is no way you can make investments in technology with the confidence that you'll actually generate true ROI. Now don't get me wrong. We'll get promised a lot of no, say that 10 times real fast. We'll get promised a lot of ROI. But frankly, we'll just be stabbing in the dark, hoping that the wins get us to where we want to go. Now, to be able to stay on top and optimize this overall process, we should be generating and driving ongoing feedback with data and metrics. So data and metrics should be informing this model to help us optimize the game that we're playing, enhance our MO, drive acceleration through the utilization of the right technology into a defined ongoing customer acquisition and customer success process. Now, if you don't believe what I just said about the challenges of technology, and if you don't have the right pieces in place, the likelihood of actually generating real return from that, all you got to do is take a look at what's happening in the world today. Research done by the corporate executive board found that on average, a typical company spending about $5,000 per rep per year more than they spent just 2 years ago. And they're seeing degraded results, right? We're spending more and more money on technology that's supposed to shorten the sales cycle, increase our capacity, lower our overall sales costs. But if you look across the board, with the exception of a best few, we're seeing the exact opposite true. So it really begs the question, why does tech fail? Right? And this isn't new. Right? A lot of people are talking about this like this is new. I remember the 1990s. Yes, I hate to admit it. I remember the 1990s when Salesforce automation was the buzzword. It was round one of the CRM wars. CRM in the 1990s was the number one technology application. It was also the number one technology application for dissatisfaction. Tech has been failing us for decades. And really, if you think about it, what the net result for most companies through the utilization of technology, because I want to make no bones about it, we could not do what we do without technology. What it's doing is it's just raising the bar for all of us. But very few companies are actually capturing the power of that technology to truly build momentum into their process, to make their process, to make their processes more effortless. And the reason is we end up building what I like to call Frankenstein tech stacks. And the reason is we haven't defined a clear, aligned, holistic approach. You see, when you implement technology, small misalignments create great disruption. As a matter of fact, as you rely more and more on technology, those small misalignments have more impact on reducing our velocity than if we weren't automating or using technology at all. As we're adding more and more technology, we have to remember that when you add technology, you're really implementing a change management process. And everybody deals with what I like to call the whirlwind. The whirlwind is the stuff that we have to do every day. And just simply taking care of our day job is so all-encompassing that if we're not taking that into account as we consider the type of technology that we're using, how we're using it, and how we roll it out, it just adds to the whirlwind. It makes all of our jobs more complicated and more difficult. And one of my favorite slides, one of my favorite images when we talk about system design is the whole idea of the theory of the experience versus the application of the experience. Too often, when I look at how companies roll out CRM, marketing automation, or any other part of their demand generation tech stack, it is as if the process that we're implementing or the people that are going to be involved are an afterthought. We design for efficiency. We design with intent, but we don't really consider how is this actually going to be used? How are people doing their job? How can we enable them to do their job more easily? And when you don't do this, the likelihood that you'll get adoption decreases exponentially, and the cost of adoption increases exponentially. Too often, we're making people come to the technology design rather than building the technology into the design of how our people do their best work. So what can we do about it? Here's a couple key thoughts to keep in mind as you build out your tech stack. The first thing is stop buying technology. Don't buy technology, hire it. At Imagine, we are huge fans of the jobs to be done theory. Think about this for a second. Would you hire an important role as an employee if there weren't a job description that both defined their areas of responsibilities, the results that they should achieve, and what are the key components to determine that the person would be the right person? Yet we buy technology at an impulse. I've seen companies spend tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars a year without ever actually defining what is the use case, what is the outcome, what are we hiring the technology for? And yeah, it's easy to say, well, we've got a problem or we're trying to increase efficiency. You need to be more specific than that. You have to be able to articulate what is the definition of success? What are you hiring the technology to do for you? The next thing to consider is, well, less is more. Now, I'll tell you, I learned this lesson the hard way. I have been a huge fan of technology since the beginning. I mean, I remember working on a TRS-80. I remember having a laptop that was, well, I don't know how they called it a laptop because I think the thing weighed like 40 pounds. Right? I mean, I have always loved technology, and I made this mistake where I thought if some technology is good, more is better. What I've come to realize is, frankly, less is more. Identify the key technologies that you need, use them well, and then add. Stop trying to solve everything with technology, because the truth is, if we don't have strong, solid process in place first, and we don't have strong, solid structure in place, the technology we add is actually just going to add chaos and cost. It's going to increase friction. It's not going to reduce friction. So how can we increase velocity, increase productivity, and lower costs? The first thing that we have to do is we have to get out of the common thinking of the order of priority for building velocity and scale. Too often we want to jump right into execution because we believe the myth that execution is the key. And make no mistake about it, advisors, product providers, people like me, we want you to think that execution is the key. Because the more you think it's about execution, the more you need an expert to help you execute. But here's how I know that execution, while important, is not the most important. Take a look at any tactic. Frankly, take a look at any strategy that one of the best few are using. And I'll show you another company that's doing the same thing and not getting the same result. You see, execution isn't the key. The key to effective implementation of technology, frankly, the key to the effective implementation of velocity, to gain velocity, it's about focusing on structure first. If you've got a velocity problem, you've got a structure problem. If you change the execution or you change the strategy, but you don't change the structure, if you don't change the fundamental game that you're playing and how you're defining that game, then ultimately that effort to change strategy or execution, while it might yield a bump of initial short-term improvement, simply because we're paying more attention to something, will fall back and ultimately lead to higher costs and lower velocity. Right? There's more than enough technology out there. We've got great content. Think about the investments we've made in our people. Think about the total investment that we've made in all of the individual pieces needed to build a great sales, marketing, or demand generation approach. And yet, despite so much out there, despite so much information out there, so much knowledge, it's still very, very few who are building that scalable, high growth, high return business. What's the difference? The difference is the engine that they're building. Right? Structure is your engine. Structure is what drives thrust. It brings progress. It's what drives velocity. We have built world-class cars, if you will. We built world-class designs with hamster wheels for an engine, right? At the core of your engine is plumbing. It's the measurements, the metrics, the processes that we have in place. And the single biggest problem that we face, the single biggest reason the technology is not delivering on its promise is because we're building a lot of bad plumbing. That plumbing is slowing us down. You see, when we're doing something manually and we've got bad plumbing, the manual process can make up for it. But as we rely more and more on technology, the plumbing begins to show itself. Those small misalignments, those conflicts, where we measure, how we measure, when we measure, all lead to myriad of issues, decisions, conflicts, trade-offs that must be managed. And we have to have a structure in place to do that at velocity, or it's going to slow us down. We need to be thinking about how we build our technology stack and how we build our processes and align that to a consistent, repeatable customer acquisition approach. I don't care whatever you do. If you look at the top performers, one of the biggest differences between the top performers and the average performers is in even highly dynamic processes like dance, baseball, improv, theater, whatever you want to look at, top performers develop a consistent, repeatable process that regularly produces a higher likelihood of a positive outcome. And you see, what technology does is it helps to accelerate those points, but only when we've got an aligned, consistent, repeatable process. Right? If you study any type of design thinking, you'll learn this term called the knowledge funnel. Right? What the knowledge funnel basically says is that everything starts off as a mystery. It's one-off. It's different every single time. Then as we begin to develop processes, as we begin to develop expertise, heuristics emerge. These are things that are typically true, but not always true. Then we'll see some things that are always true. The always true is an algorithm. Right? Algorithms don't have to be computer code. There's lots of non-code examples of algorithms. You see, it's in the lower part of heuristic to algorithm, the technology begins to be a multiplier. Now, in the heuristic phase, which is what drives the vast majority of sales and marketing, the vast majority of sales and marketing is at the heuristic phase. not at the algorithm phase, that's where we want to look at semi-automation. The danger is we keep trying to automate heuristics or mysteries. So what's the next thing to do to put yourself in a position to take advantage of the promise of technology? Stop and design your customer acquisition and success process. And let me tell you, if you do not define your customer acquisition success process in a way that, well, frankly, makes this chart here look simple, then you probably haven't designed your process anywhere near reality. This is actually a piece of an actual customer acquisition process that we designed for a client. You see, there are hundreds of decisions that people are making. There's lots of different steps that are happening. And the key to making a strategy around technology work, as I said earlier, is to align that strategy with how things really work. And so as you begin to design your process, as you lay it out and you see where the workflow is, and again, this is technology agnostic. This has nothing to do with buying specific pieces of technology. It doesn't even have anything to do directly with what is your sales process. Your sales process is a subset of this, right? What you want to do is you want to lay this out and then watch how you think it works, compare it to what's actually happening. Right there, you'll identify where a lot of problems occur. And one of the great things is sometimes you'll find that you don't have a problem that you need technology to solve. You don't actually have to pay anything to solve the problem. You've just got a conflict that has to be managed, that has to be resolved. Right? You want to get the defined layout of your process to match what's actually happening. Right. And that's where you can find where are the opportunities for semi-automation? Where are the opportunities for full automation? Where are the key inflection points that are going to make the difference? When you got that clear, now you're in a position to really look and leverage the benefits of technology in the tech stack. Now, when you look at the tech stack, it's important to understand that, well, the technology falls into one of three places, right? You're looking at marketing automation, CRM, and then just about everything else falls into the bucket that we call acceleration tools. Right? Your marketing automation and your CRM, they are your platform. You have to think about them a little bit differently. As I talked about earlier, we don't buy technology, we hire technology. This is kind of our technology organizational chart right here. We've got our foundation here. This is about the 2 to 3 key platforms that we're using. Now, I'm going to get to this in a minute. The fewer platforms you use, the better. But when you think about your platform, that is the hub of your entire system, right? That's the thing that's going to make you effective and should unlock more power from all of your other components. Then, from a customer acquisition standpoint, you've got 5 other functions: lead generation, management, conversion, sales, and then analytics and planning. Within each of these boxes, within each of these areas, you've got multiple jobs to be done, right? So to put this all together, this is an example of a fairly simple jobs to be done layout. This was actually done for one of our clients, laying out what's the job of the CRM, what's the job of their sales acceleration tools, and what's the job of their marketing automation platform. Right. Now, this is where things get a little bit complicated, right? Because at the center of all of this lies this thing that's been around longer than sales or marketing automation has been around, and that's the database. Right? How you treat your database and how you design your tech stack in alignment with your database is going to have a profound impact on everything else that you do. The way you look at and manage the database is one of the key structural components that will determine whether or not you unlock the real benefits and the real promise of the technology that you're investing in. And because there's been such a focus on technology, and this industry has gone through so much innovation and change so rapidly. And I should also add, frankly, that because there's so much funding for these new companies that are all trying to get at the center to maximize your wallet share, we've built technology too often. We put technology solutions in place that are searching for problems. And the net result of this is that the vast majority of tech stacks that we look at fall into the category of what we call a horizontal tech stack, a horizontal stack, right? You got your CRM, you got your marketing automation, you got your other applications, and this is what we call technology anarchy. Increasingly, we call it SaaS anarchy or sanarchy. If you want to get even a little bit cuter, actually hashtag sanarchy. Maybe we can make that trend. Right, we've got so many different apps that use bits and pieces of everything else, but the reality is there is no single place that is our database, right? And the drawbacks of a horizontal stack are that you're using multiple databases. Expenses grow as you get bigger. Expenses grow as your tech stack gets bigger. And by the way, those expenses are not limited to just the cost of the technology. I'm talking about tech debt. I'm talking about productivity. I'm talking about alignment. I've seen people if you look at their tech stack, it is world-class. It is great, but it is so difficult to do anything that you just don't. The tools are powerful, but the need for the administration makes build out, testing, and changing slow and expensive. And you end up having multiple people working out of multiple systems. And there is no one way. There is no your way. You see, we're fans of what we like to call vertical stacks. We look at things through a vertical component. Now, the example I'm about to share here I'm going to be talking about HubSpot because we use HubSpot primarily. And HubSpot is right now the only tool that actually truly delivers a full marketing automation CRM platform with a single database, right? But this is an example of a vertical tech stack that we've built with HubSpot, right? So we've got our marketing and sales pro hubs to serve the marketing and sales side, all built on top of a single database, which is free for all users. And then for those that need sales acceleration, we were able to build out those tools. For those that need other marketing, for our marketing team, our demand generation team, we're building out that. Everything works through this single database that drives a single experience. This is what enables us to build more intelligence, more effectiveness, greater productivity, greater line of sight. Here's an example of an enterprise vertical tech stack. Here, what we do is we use Salesforce as a system of record, right? We build an execution CRM that, again, provides a database that is free for all users, so everybody has access to that. We've got a management CRM leveraging the tools through there, again, all working through our single system of record, where we're able to build out the different components here, again, all built with a vertical approach to drive what our outcomes are. The benefits of this approach: one database, one system. Now, you may be using tens of tools, but it's built as one system. You're able to build a tech stack much more cost effectively because you haven't built cost into the fundamental structure of it. And as a result of this, you're able to iterate very easily. And an easy iteration means better optimization. That's the key to building and unlocking the latent power of your CRM, of your marketing automation, and of your demand generation tools. if you'd like to get a picture in terms of how you're doing or where there might be some significant areas for you to increase your velocity, because you either attended this webinar or you watched the webinar, we would like to offer you the Revenue Acceleration Readiness Assessment. This is typically a $5,000 assessment that we do, where we'll take a look at the key aspects of how your demand generation, your customer acquisition engine is structured and designed to identify areas for improvement. Again, no cost, no obligation for that. It's our way of sharing with you just a little bit more of a detail about how we work, and to thank you for taking some time out. Also, even if you don't want to do that, want to make sure that you know about the Sales Genius Network. As I said at the very beginning of this program, this is the next in our Sales Generation Network webinar series. The Sales Genius Network is a free membership community where we share resources like this. We're going to be sharing some tools within the Sales Genius Network to implement these ideas, different worksheets, programs, tools, resources, etc. Also check out the Facebook group, the Sales Genius Network Facebook group. Have the opportunity to interact with your peers, and we can all grow together. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day. We really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, or if there's any way we can help you around your tech stack or any other aspect of your customer acquisition or success efforts, please don't hesitate to reach out. Like I said, just send us an email, chat us on our website, send smoke signals, tweet us, whatever works for you. Don't miss our next webinar in this series. We're going to be talking about the 3 playbooks for a successful sales development program. Have a great rest of your summer, and until next time, go out and make it happen.